where they want to be right now. I think the main thing is just going to be covering water, because these fish are just going to be dispersed all over the place.
Again, just about the time that tide starts to fall, really good to position those fish well is when a lot of these guys will have to be on their way back to weigh in. And from what I understand, it's not going to get much better the next couple of days either. It's not like the tide's coming to them in a favorable way. It's going away. That falling period of tide after the high is going to get later and later each day.
Christian was the winner on the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit back in 2022 on the Harris chain.
I think that's my wife and cameraman yelling in the background there. We're staying at the campsite that's just behind us here.
The day that he won on the Harris chain, he went back to the ramp, not expecting to win. It was one of those kind of days. He caught 18 pounds, 5 ounces on the final day and was just sure that somebody probably had blasted 20 pounds. But it was an overall slow fishing day for everybody who was still in the event, and he ended up winning. I mean, you think, an 18-pound day on the Harris chain, you're liable to get blasted. But it held up. It was in mid-March, and Christian Greco, a rookie at that time on the pro circuit, captured $100,000 and the victory.
Yeah, he learned a lot about Florida when he was living down there. He's good on all those lakes. Moved back to New Bern, North Carolina, I think to be closer to his wife's family up there. So. And as he said last night, he said, "There's only so much you can learn about Florida water. It was time to, go." Last night, he said, "There's only so much you can learn about Florida water. It was time to, go learn a new set of water." And I understand what he's saying there. There's only so much you can learn in Florida. Once you get Florida down pat, which he's kind of proven that he's got that, it's time to go to TVA or Texas or up the East Coast, maybe up to, the Northeast to perfect something else for your career.
Well, let's see what Banks Shaw has got going on.
It's kind of slowed down. I mean, I've been catching some. I just made 2 pretty good upgrades on this little area change, and the tide's starting to come in, so it's filling up. So I'm definitely getting kind of excited for that high tide bite I got going.
Guys, look at how stained the water is up there. Like, if you guys don't know, if you're from the area or if you're not from the area tuning in, we've had a torrential downpour of rain, like active God amount of rain that's happened throughout Virginia, which has been absolutely insane here. And this is our first real stable weather pattern we've had in a while. Again, if you're just tuning in, you're not from the Virginia area, just to kind of give you an idea, I'm going to be giving you some blow by blow, just since I'm kind of a local in the area, what my 2 cents are. The weather patterns this year have been obsessionally wet, very, very wet. Last year, it got hot and really warm in like mid-February. This year, it was an extremely cold winter where we're at, and it's kind of just stagnated everything. On top of that, with all the rain we've gotten, it's been a very interesting bite. I had Blake and Jared on the past couple of days talking about kind of what we're thinking that's going to win, and we were thinking that was going to be about 15 to 16 pounds a day. We'll probably win it. Definitely, low 15s a day will get you in the top 10 for sure. So right now, with what Keith Poche has, he has over 23.11 unofficially. Absolutely insane kind of weight right now that he has. You go down the leaderboard, Carl Lane 1713, Mitch Crane 1601, and then you got this guy called Christian Gecko. He's been on the show actually. I believe I had him on the show before with 1303. So let's just tune in back here and just give it a listen to what's going on.
Just shy of 15 pounds, the estimated total today for Banks Shaw. A top 10 in all 4 Tackle Warehouse Invitationals events this year. Leader in the Angler of the Year race. Rob, you were talking about his day 2s that he has had. Day 2 on the Invitationals trail. You cannot use forward-facing sonar, but his average finish would put him still in the top 10 in the Angler of the Year race if he just took day 2 overall. And that's been the difference maker for him.
Yep, and this was, if I had to guess, this was the one that he was probably the most concerned about, just in terms of least amount of experience there. Tidal water, it can all be new, but he's handled it very well. He knows what his target weight is. He's already reached it. He knows what he needs to kind of back that lead up that he has for Angler of the Year. He knows he can't falter or leave the door open in any way. Better off to assure yourself 14 or 15 solid pounds, so you kind of keep your lead, stay out in front of the pack, and come down the home stretch there at St. Lawrence, which will probably, I'm not gonna say it'll be a breeze for him, but get back into this more of the scoping and the smallmouth, and that's what these young kids really like, is that they're. You won't find hardly a young angler who despises the St. Lawrence. It's the kind of the pinnacle of forward-facing sonar and current and big giant smallmouth at a time of the year when it's 100 degrees everywhere else in the country. So I think this is the bump that Banks Shaw needs to get over, and he's already handling it pretty well. I think. Nobody's handed him a trophy yet, but if he maintains through this tournament, comes out of here with a 20, 30, 35-point lead, then I think he'll be headed to the Bass Pro Tour next year.
And you win Angler of the Year, it's $50,000 payday. Mm-hmm. That never hurts. Won $115,000 for his victory in early May at Pickwick Lake here on the Invitational Circuit. And also a win in Abu Garcia College Fishing at Kentucky and Barkley Lakes in the month of March. Still a college angler at the University of North Alabama. He could fish collegiately and Tackle Warehouse Invitationals and the Bass Pro Tour next year. That would be a busy schedule. Here's the way it shakes out. Banks Shaw leading the Fishing Clash Angler of the Year race by 36 points over Mitchell Robinson, who was the winner at Lake Hartwell. Joseph Webster still very much in the thick of things. There's Colby Miller and Dustin Smith. You look at right now, Webster down through Bobby Lane. They're only separated by 20 points. And remember, the top 5 anglers in the Fishing Clash Angler of the Year race who are not already on the Bass Pro Tour will be invited to the Bass Pro Tour. And you have the consideration of also qualifying for the season-ending Tackle Warehouse Invitationals Championship event on the Upper Mississippi River. All part of the details when we take a look at this Fishing Clash Angler of the Year race.
Interesting stuff. So, guys, I'm going to also share this real quick because I think this is kind of important just for the coverage. Let's go entire screen. Boom. So this is just a little title chart thing I just whipped up. I think this is kind of makes it a little bit easier to track what's going on here. So this is for today, Friday, June 20th. So I'm going from upriver all the way down near Hopewell. You're going to get absolute high tide roughly based on this chart around 11:30-ish. Chickahominy River Bridge, which is really just the gateway into the Chickahominy River, which is a place a lot of people are going to be fishing. Absolute high we've already experienced, and then you get absolute high up towards the shipyard landing, which is up closer to the Chick, closer to the Chick Dam. So for the fishing is going to have it's going to be interesting because the people are going to be in a lull here right now for the next hour or two is my anticipation right now, with that absolute high tide and just slack water. So if people are camping in an area and not doing a massive milk run up and down the river system, they're going to be in a dead zone. What is interesting though, is when you look at absolute low, when absolute low is, we're looking at probably that bite getting good. And you guys let me know in the comment section down below, 1:30, 2 p.m. maybe, if you're trying to get that outgoing tide. Again, look at it from, if you're up near the Hopewell area between 2 and 4, you're going to get the very tail end of that low tide bite. And then if you look at the Chickahominy shipyard, you're talking, well into 4 o'clock, depending on when your boat number is. We got West Virginia fisherman, Poche cranking them up 23 pounds. Wonder what crankbait he is using. I mean, you wonder if it's an experimental crankbait. It's a sponsored crankbait. He's going to show us at some point, and we'll try to reveal it here on the screen. Does 23 pounds, is this the winning bag? He was able to get into a sneaky spot. Everyone that I've talked to, that might be it, that he's already won the thing with 23 pounds. If he can maintain 13 to 14 pounds the rest of the way through there. Does that creek hold up though for 3 days? Is that his only spot? Who knows? I think there's still potential for a bigger bag to come. Again, we're at a shitty tide right now, so this bite is going to heat up as the day goes on, and that's just my personal opinion. But I guess I'm a boring guy. Like, low tide fishing is kind of pretty straightforward. So the fact that these guys were catching them on a rising tide bite is pretty impressive. So who will have the opportunity to capitalize on that low tide bite? Who's going to be doing milk runs throughout the day? But again, just to keep your eye on the tide chart here, when you see these lulls and people start sniping fish left and right, you can tell if you're up near Hopewell from around, 11, from about 11 to noon, it's going to be kind of dead up at Hopewell when it comes to tidal movement, generally speaking. But as that day goes on, the bite should be picking up for those guys. And it gets into that kind of thing, that whole thought process. Do you stay close? Because again, Osborne is where they're launching from. I just use Hopewell as just I thought it was a good median point there. What do? Do you make the long run and then have less time to fish, and then you potentially do not get the good tide? Or do you just camp in an area and just milk it throughout the whole tidal swing? There's validity to both, but the James River routinely has been, generally speaking, it has been a milk run place. You can run the tide there very, very effectively. You can't do that necessarily. You can do it on the Potomac, but generally you can camp on the Potomac and have really good days. Will the Chick River be in contention at all throughout this event? I don't know. I don't necessarily know, but always in these events, having a tide chart up is really important. Lawrence does a great job about this. I do think they have like one of the best tidal charts, honestly, where you can have it on your boat. So you can literally watch the tide move back and forth. So tide charts, insanely important, whether you're practicing, anticipating, all those different things. The other thing I would also suggest following is just the weather patterns and the wind patterns. Depending on how the wind blows on a tidal fishery, it can adjust the tides dramatically. So if you have an outgoing tide, but the wind is blowing straight up the river, that's going to slow the tide down, or it might even stop it completely, which will create a really hard place to fish, generally speaking. So again, just some generic stuff. I'm not going to say I'm a river rat through and through like that, but just some fun things to kind of keep in mind there. All right, let's get back to the coverage. Let's share the screen. Perfect. Maybe that's the right one. Let's just close this one out. Hold on a second. so far. And then, guys, let me know how the audio is. Please, please, please let me know
The
if
rest
you
of the
can hear
week,
this
so
okay.
it could be a runaway with Keith.
Let's roll back through some of what we have seen so far this morning. A little bit of equipment issues for Thomas Wooten, but he's got a lot of success on the Potomac River in particular, as well as here on the James River. And you feel like he'll get it going despite a slow beginning.
Yeah, the tide will sort of come to him as the day goes on. He's down there in the Chickahominy, and he won't get much of a premium tide, but it was worth it to him to make the gamble to run down there and at least see if he could, get in 30 or 45 minutes of some of that falling water on the Chickahominy.
Fifth place in the Fishing Clash Angler of the Year race.
See, that's, guys, that's
Smith.
important right
He's
there.
got,
What he just
I believe,
said.
about 9
talking
pounds
about
so
the tide.
far today.
He's all the way up in the
He feels
Chick.
like
We just
it's a
did the tide
solid
chart.
start.
They're going to be getting that closer to 2, 3 if you want the last few minutes of the outgoing tide.
We
got Ang right here. Ang says 2311. That's insane. What bait is he been throwing? He's been throwing a crankbait. He's been a little bit more secretive with what he's been throwing. At this point, though, what I think is interesting with Cliff is when you have 23 pounds, which for Tidal is pretty good. 3-day event. I think you're playing strategy and defense. I think you camp in your area, make sure no one else gets in there, but you kind of hold it down. Because there's no point, I think,
Greco
calling up ounces
one fish
at this
shy of a
point
5-fish limit. This was his initial starting spot.
When you
Rob
could probably
Will
save this
saw him
fish for the
catch a
next day. Because
6-pounder.
that 23-pound bag, unless things change, it might be the deal. Again, I still think there's going to be a low tide bite at some point today, and we can walk through the tide charts later, but let's listen in.
Opened up, didn't have anybody fishing in it. Made a few casts, and that's what he ended up with. A couple of really nice fish right off the bat. That one nearly 6-7 pounds. So just shows you how 6-7 pounds. So just shows you how you can have a game plan in tournament bass fishing, call an audible, pull over, and just like that, 10 pounds of fish.
Let me know if you guys can hear him okay.
To get your day started.
He's unofficially in the top 10 and still has a fish to go to his 5-fish limit. Angler of the Year race leader is Bank Shaw. He's our reigning champion on the Tackle Warehouse Invitational circuit, having captured stop 4 at Pickwick Lake. What do you think of his stop?
Yeah, Bank Shaw has only been to the James River once before when he was a freshman in college, but the way he's fishing it right now, he looks like a veteran pro of this place. Did a real good job of finding some offshore, isolated. Some of them you could see connected to the bank, some pilings and stuff. But he's got some isolated stuff that he located that those fish have to get on. He's fishing right there at low tide, the lowest point of the tide this morning when they took off. You can see the bare banks, and those fish have to get on something, and they roll off those banks and get on those isolated pieces of cover, and Banks using a forward-facing sonar to find a little piece of cover and knock with his
That's some good little information I can do there for people. Again, I'm just going to be going kind of just generic 101 stuff too for people to understand. So when that tide moves and stuff, and you're not dealing with a lot of aquatic vegetation, they will hold on the best part hard cover that's still available to them. And that looks like a chatterbait. Yep, that's a chatterbait, guys.
23 pounds in less than an hour. And I don't think he moved his boat more than maybe 10 or 20 feet that whole time. Just cast after cast, producing giants like this in the James River. And
that one's
doing
a
his thing off the grid, going off the grid.
So he's throwing a couple of baits.
Back there in a little trough that other bigger boats can't get to, and he can reach it, especially in low tide. And he's got a heck of a lead going right now, Chad.
Had to hand line one in from the back of the boat, but as is typically the case, he made it work, and Keith Poche is on top. We're back inside the MLF Now Studios alongside Rob Newell. I'm Chad McKee. So you come to the James River, you talk so much about the tides, you talk about the different places that you can fish, the different cover options. So far, Rob, what have we found out as far as guys who want to fish in the Appomattox River, which is near takeoff at Osborne Landing in Richmond, and those who want to make the run down to the Chickahominy, thereby reducing the fishing time they have available to them? What do you think about the spread amongst our 97 guys and where they've chosen to be on the water so far today?
Well, definitely the guys that chose to stay around Richmond this morning are doing a lot better. They caught that low tide window. You could see a lot of low water, a lot of bare banks. And while those guys were making hay, the rest of the field was running down to the Chickahominy, giving up some, not only just some fishing time period, but some really premium fishing time up around Richmond. Now, it's the afternoon at which the guys going to the Chickahominy are counting on. They're going to be their prime time. But I've looked at a lot of the guys down there. There's about 30 to 35 guys that chose to go all the way down to the Chickahominy. And they're going to get maybe 30 or 40 minutes of some falling water, but they're not going to get the prime low water that they would like to have on this river to really position the fish. So we'll have to see this afternoon how many of those guys down in the Chickahominy, bring in 5 bass limits that compete with those guys in Richmond this morning.
How about a TH Marine roadmap to victory? And
so, guys, just like we've been talking about here, again, they're launching from Osborne, Chickahominy River. Absolute low tide is around, 2:30, 3 o'clock will be absolute low down at the opening mouth of the Chick. And it'll be, I'm trying to think, about 2:30, 3 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock, up at the shipyard, way up into the Chickahominy River. What I don't understand with what he's saying, let me know in the comment section down below. He's talking about catching that low tide in the morning. That doesn't make any sense to me about what the hell he's talking about. Because if you look at the tide charts, or maybe my tide charts are wrong, unless they launched at 5 a.m., which I'm pretty sure they didn't, they were fishing a rising tide all day. So these guys, and this is also important to know, this tide is not necessarily the best one for big bags. The biggest thing with tidal rivers is not just the best time of year to go to have a tournament, but it's having the right tide set up to where you can maximize your mega bags. And I don't know, I wouldn't actually consider this the best kind of the bag to absolutely have, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong with that. Let me switch back to the coverage then. But again, guys, tide charts, this is really important to keep in mind when they're talking about this. Launching from Osborne, you can stay around, maximize your fishing day, or make the absolute long run. I believe the place that they were at, I think it's called Cornelius Creek or something like that. I'm just trying to Google map it, but I could be wrong. Anyway, so let us get back to the coverage and see what's going on. Click on the screen there and share the tab. Perfect.
National emergencies. So scenic, so historic. And Dustin Smith would like to fit into that history this week by winning. And Dustin Smith would like to fit into that history this week by winning on the James River.
That's number 5. That's number 5. It's good quality today, too. I just need to get a couple bigs. It's good quality today, too. I just need to get a couple bigs. 212.
Something else, that water, guys, if you can tell, is not moving at all. It is barely moving.
And I haven't weighed the one on yellow, so it's weighing now. So we'll get an accurate weight. 113. So we got 12.3. Which is a really good start to the day. It's 9:36. And it's like you get rid of this one and you get a 4-pounder. It's like now you're cooking with some gasoline when you do that. It's like that's kind of what we're searching for. Now it's just like we've got to get big ones. Good golly, man, my line is just getting chewed up today.
Yeah, dude, you're fishing a river.
And that's going to be the name of the game here. I feel like my limit right now, basically the entire field is going to have that. The good thing about it, though, is we got it, and it's, early in the day still. Just take a second here and get.
I agree with him there. It is early in the day. They still got plenty of time to make some magic happen.
The good thing too is like from a tide perspective, I know like nothing about tidal fisheries, but all the research I did beforehand and podcasts and YouTube videos and everything, it was like, it's all about the low tide. Got to be on the low tide. You got a small window, and it's like kind of the low tides actually kind of suck for me. Like I just like the high tide. So I don't know if it's like the areas that I'm fishing,
Probably.
but I'm not scared to fish on the high tide. That's for dang sure. I'm kind of actually looking forward to it.
Well, that's good because that's the tide you're
It's
going to be
incoming
getting.
now. So good start to the day so far. Very thankful for that.
So I think this is a good learning opportunity right here to talk about this too. So basically, the reason we say that for tidal fishermen, low tide or a tide that's pulling out of a creek, let's say, why that is so great is its concentration of fish. So if you take, I'm going to take the James River, for example, you have a creek up in the Chickahominy, let's just say, just no-name Creek 1. Well, let's say you have tons of cypress, just flooded crap everywhere. When you have a tide pulling it out, those fish can set up basically like you'd fish for smallmouth on a river. They would set up in seams. They're going to set up behind stuff in key locations, and it'll concentrate them. And so instead of having, let's say, 10 cubic acres that you have to fish through, maybe you have 5 cubic acres. And what will happen in that window is those fish will turn on. There will be a time, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, that those fish are going to be dialed in and wanting to feed heavily. And then they'll go through a lull. You generally speaking, and this is just again, rough estimate, you'll have 2 peak windows generally through a whole tide cycle. You're going to have an outgoing and you're going to have an ingoing tide, basically. And so usually on a high tide, you'll have a feeding window, and on a low tide, you have a feeding window. And you can catch them on, a high tide. Absolutely. It just, again, you're usually going to be getting a little bit more surface area depending on where you fish. The Potomac River has sometimes it has a tidal move of like 5 inches, and then the James or the Delaware has like 15 feet. And the other thing too is a lower tide will clean the water. A higher tide will sometimes dirty it up. And then also grass has to play a factor too. So example is like if you have a nice hydrilla or grass bed on the Potomac, that water will generically be a little bit cleaner. And what happens is on a high tide, it'll make all that grass super dirty. And sometimes the fish prefer that, sometimes they don't. It depends. But when you pull out that water out of a grass bed, it cleans it up. I'm assuming that it usually happens on the James. Oh, we got Blake here. It says Blake's mediocre bass fishing. Outgoing water is normally cleaner than incoming too. Exactly. So again, he's not from here. So when he says, again, I think he said he was from Michigan or Wisconsin, which is crazy. Those guys usually do extremely good fishing tidal fisheries. One of my friends who fished for Adrian College, I think he won the BFL All-American. I could be mistaken, but if you're listening, a couple years ago on the Potomac, and he just likes to hit hard targets. And so he just kind of did his own thing, was extremely successful. So really interesting to kind of listen to his perspective there. Let's listen back in.
Practice and today in the tournament, these fish have been getting pressured for sure.
You can see, I don't know if you guys can see this right now, but you can see the water level on the trees, how it's still rising in his position. It looks like it's at absolute low right now.
There'd be something hanging out up there.
If you guys are listening, how is the audio for the feed from MLF website? Can you hear it okay?
I know that noise would agitate me if I was a fish.
I love that noise.
Yeah, it's great for us.
So many of those type of lures you can fish on the James. It's just a, buzz bait, a frog, big willow leaves, big like a Colorado spinner bait up around those cypress trees. Of course, all kinds of flipping around the cypress trees. It's a really good place for a shallow one and crankbait. I think Skeet won on that, on a shallow run and crankbait, the Bass Pro Tour. And I
last
think
year,
LeBrun,
Skeet
when
did.
he won back in 22, a crankbait played a big part.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great place to kind of hone your shallow water crankbait.
Chatterbait and a crankbait, guys. Yeah, Poche is like chatterbait, crankbait.
It's a lure made to work that 1 to 3 foot zone. It's applicable here on this river.
We're talking about these tidal fisheries. The Bass Pro Tour talking about is headed to the Potomac River next week for Stage 6. Is headed to the Potomac River next week. Stage 6 beginning next Thursday. Zenny Stage 6 beginning
what
next
time will
Thursday.
they give Jacob Wheeler the trophy for that one, Chad?
You think
What
so?
time will they give Jacob Wheeler the trophy
You know,
for that one, Chad?
there are a few other guys that would like to get a vote in that. There are a few Bobby Lane's pretty good on the Potomac River amongst others.
I'm also trying to mute this every now and then so I don't get copyright struck. So I'm trying to like have enough audio that we can understand, but so I don't get my channel nuked. What's interesting here with his strategy though is he's not picking apart any of the pads. Like, I don't know, like to me, I kind of like pads. Again, maybe it's a time of year or this is something he found in practice. He's moving just so freaking fast right now where maybe that's his strategy. He already has it dialed in that the going slow and pounding is not the best thing. Again, where he's located, I think the tide has to play into it. Really will. It is the major factor with these events.
That's an awesome
If you
fishery.
haven't watched
Changes a
Potomac
lot. It's always
tournament
fun
in a
to
couple
watch.
years,
It's always fun to watch
If you haven't
because
watched Potomac
one year, like the lowering creeks, like Aquia, and one year, like the lowering creeks, like Aquia,
a couple years later,
farther up the Potomac around National Harbor. A couple years later, farther up the Potomac around National Harbor.
What the hell are you talking about, dude? Nanjamoine hasn't played since the black and white movies, and just generally speaking. What the hell are you talking about, Nanjamoine?
It was nice to go back to Kentucky Lake.
There was a while there.
It was nice to go back to Kentucky Lake.
Places like Kentucky Lake. There was a while there when FLW went to places like Kentucky Lake time of year, kind of over and over and over. Okeechobee.
It makes deep ruts in the field, so to speak, and it makes year after year.
Oh, thank you for letting me know that. And again, guys, yeah, thank you. Just let me know if the audio is a problem. I can always constantly adjust it. Let me know now if it's double and if it's clear.
You can go to a Potomac or a James year after year, and it's just a different.
And let me know if it's a little bit better now.
You can get hurricanes, you can get tropical storms that changes salinity, rainfall, different levels of grass growth. Just a lot of pieces of the puzzle are always changing on these dynamic fisheries like this.
You know, you're talking about hurricanes, and we're watching Christian Greco here. That win he had on the Potomac River Toyota Series 2023, the final day of that event was canceled by Hurricane Ophelia. So it wound up being a 2-day event that he won. So to your point on the way.
By the way, guys, I had Christian on the show when he won on the Potomac. If you want to, go check out that episode. Just type in his name. Oh, got a fish.
Like Christian's got one.
Decent one.
I think this closes out his 5-fish limit and does it ever.
I only got one to come up on the buzzbait.
It's like he's
Way
going
back in the trees there.
It's like he's going with black. On his
What do you guys
buzzbait,
think? Is he
Joe.
fishing too fast?
That dark
I mean,
water.
yeah, he caught. Okay, like, how can you say that? He just caught a damn fish. I just feel like he's fishing too fast through this area. I would have picked it apart a little bit more.
2-6. Came up and crushed that crocodigator. He was probably in 6 inches of water way up in those trees.
It is also, I'm going to just cut this up a little bit. That way I don't get dinged for everything. That's what I'm a little bit afraid of here. It is interesting when you are fishing hard targets.
him up there
In
pretty
my
good.
opinion, it's a lot slower to fish it
the reason that
effectively
the-
when you
these
have a
James
line
Rivers,
of trees like
Tidal
that
Rivers
versus
fish
if you have a
like so many
submerged
different
grass
things is
flat.
'cause they eat
It
so
is
many
way
different things.
easier,
You
in
can
my
leave
opinion,
perch
to be able to
on
fish that effectively quickly. You can tie on the chatterbait, you
it
can
on
tie
there.
on a lipless bait or something like
I
that. You can
personally
bomb
don't like
cast
throwing
and
a
move
trailer. I
covered
know a lot of
water.
guys will throw
When you're doing
trailer
stuff
for
like
a
this, you
buzzbait,
really,
but
really,
I feel
really
like
need
it
to
gets
pay
in the way
attention
more
to
so than not.
your time management when you're
you could
picking
cast
things
this as
apart,
into
because I
some
feel like
cover
you
and
can,
that buzzbait
really
kinda
get bogged
grabs
down
it,
with it. But
mess
that's
up your
just
whole
me.
cast. So there's the setup right there, and on that crocodigator, that blade, if it's pushed in right, it'll hit the head right there and make that loud knocking noise. So you can see right there on the head, it kind of takes some of the paint off. I don't know if you guys can see that good on the camera or not, but that blade will knock up against that head and make a really loud, deep noise and calls those fish over to it.
Good information there from Greco.
Interesting.
I was gonna say, throwing that dark buzzbait. I was talking about how many different baits you can throw on the James, and I think it's because those bass really eat so much different stuff. You know, when you get in lakes where bass get really keyed in on like threadfin shad or maybe herring, and that's like 90% of their diet. You got to throw something that looks like that. But in a system like this, they eat frogs, they eat crabs, you know, they eat brim, they eat all kind of different saltwater.
But that's
fin
seasonal
fish
too.
that migrate up those rivers, so really opens up the.
So
bait
I don't
choice.
completely agree with that sentiment. Like the idea, like there's so
another
much
nose.
crap that the fish never get dialed on stuff. We know when there's a shad run on the Tidal, Potomac, Rappahannock, and the James, they'll get dialed into that. If there's a big push with crabs, they'll get dialed into that. 100%. I think tidal water bass are
Trying to see what he's
opportunistic.
throwing there.
But
Yeah,
to say like,
I've
well,
been
lake
trying
fish
to
will get
figure
dialed
that
on
out
threadfin, but
myself,
bass don't
Chad.
get dialed
I've
on
been
anything. I think
looking
that's a
at
little.
that and never really saying anything.
I think it's just about
You gotta be
silhouette.
careful
Honestly, with the water clarity and stuff, I think that's
these
why
young
darker
guys,
baits
boy, they got
usually
all
do
kinds
well
of
on
tricks
tidal
in their
fisheries. Is
pocket.
it gives it a nice silhouette.
So,
But because again, when the
I've
water's
learned
gin
the fuzzy
freaking
dice
clear,
was the one
again, I'll
that
go back to
learned
like the
my
tidal
lesson.
Potomac.
Never try and guess what they're
Yeah,
throwing.
I don't think
Oh,
black
I'm
and
just
blue
looking for any kind
always
of
works as
structure.
well
I mean,
on
I've
gin clear
caught
water, but
some
the
off
James
rock
with this
this
mud and
morning.
stuff,
They've been
it kind of
kinda
makes
small.
sense.
All my better bites have been off wood. Any kind of wood, whether it's a tree, stump, any kind of wood. I know they're on some docks good. I caught one of my biggest ones out from under a dock, but it wasn't on the actual dock itself. It was just on some trees that were washed up in it. So these fish are definitely relating to any kind of cover they can get on them, and that's typical tidal fisheries. I mean, they live on structure. That's about all they have to live on out here. I mean, it's mainly just mud. So anywhere you can find some hard cover, these fish are living on stuff like that. It's just really hard to get your bait perfect.
Well, that's some
perfect in
riveting
front of these
insight
fish
there.
just
Thank
'cause
you,
the
bud.
water's so dirty.
Guys, when I fish,
But it does
I found out
surprise me
that
how
the fish
aggressive some of
like
these fish
cover.
are. I mean, you
That
can
was
tell
slow clap.
sometimes
Yes,
they'll
the fish
hear
in
your
tidal
bait hit
rivers
the
like
water
to hang
and
around
swim to
shit.
it,
Thank
eat
you
it
for
pretty
that.
easy, but some
The
fish, I mean,
the
it seems like you have to
SAV
put
right
it
now
on their nose to get
is
them to
not
bite.
doing wonderful. It's a little bit slow to get up right now. Again, we had a very cold winter. And then we had a shit ton of rain. Usually that stagnates it. Hydrilla is usually the last grass to start growing. So there will be grass patches, but it's not going to be as lush and abundant as years past for an event this time of year. So yeah, they're going to sign the hard cover. The other thing to kind of keep in mind with this too is the tides. I believe that's important. Generally speaking, again, generally grass is better on a lower bite as the water kind of pulls out of it and cleans it up. Hardcover, generically speaking, is better with a rising tide. And looking at where he's at right now, that water does not look like it's moving very much at all. So that's another thing to kind of keep in mind. When in tidal fisheries, when the water does not move at all, it makes it a lot harder to get bites. So just kind of bear that in mind here.
I might be wrong. Maybe the fuzzy dice has been a thing on the James for a while, but I'm kind of guessing that's what the kids bring to the party. They got all kind of new party favors.
He kind of alluded to what you were talking about as well. They'll bite a bunch of different things, but for whatever reason, what he's throwing now seems to irritate him more than some of the other things.
This is like an
In
alien
fisheries,
trying
these
to
tidal
explain
fisheries
what the
have
hell's going
crabs,
on.
and
My
it
God.
opens up a whole different level of profiles and colors and stuff that they'll eat.
I love that guy. He's like, I think the buzz bait annoys them.
You know, we heard Banks Shaw
No shit.
earlier also talk about using day one with forward-facing sonar to prep for day two without it, with regard to lining up these areas in relation to the bank and where he wants to throw when he can't see them. He can still get a good sense.
I think
of
that's
where
kind of
they are
retarded, but that's just
and
me.
get through those same areas, cover the same type of water with the same type of bait, even without the sonar.
Yeah, he said he's going to have a tough decision for day 2 because originally he had planned to fish up here on day 1 with a scope and then go to the Chickahominy on day 2 on the no scope day just to fish and then come back up here. But he said if day 1 went fairly well and I could sort of, like you're talking about, interpolate those targets so you get kind of an idea of where they are, those hard targets, those pieces of wood, those pieces of rock. He said I just might fish the entire tournament up here and turn off the scope the second day and try and, you know, do some guesswork. I mean, we've seen him catch, I don't know, I'm going to say at least 3, maybe 4 of his fish on visible targets that were pretty nice ones. So I think he could definitely make a living up here tomorrow without having to go to the Chick. But the dice, rolling the dice down the river there, you know, especially with so much mud and you know, darker water coming from that rain, that's a pretty interesting tactic. I'm sure that's something that he didn't exactly want to cough up so early, but so it goes when you're on live television filming and being broadcast.
What was nice of him to keep us from having to guess.
Yeah, I could tell probably a little, didn't want to just volunteer that information.
You know, he also told you, as we see Cal Lane, who's unofficially in second with nearly 18 pounds today, and the watercolor where he is, you said the word orange earlier. It almost is. It's like a brownish orange.
Yeah, I think Cal actually went up.
Rusty colored.
Looks like you could plow it. And look, I think he actually went up the James a little bit above Richmond. That's why it looks like that.
It's working for him. Cal Lane moving on down the James River. Unofficially 17 pounds, 13 ounces. Nobody, though, is even close what we have seen to what Keith Poche has done. He's at the top at Stop 5, presented by 7 Brew Coffee, James River.
They're a little smaller than the typical size. They fit perfectly with this little boat.
Go get you some, baby. I'm liking it.
This thing will let me run this without tripping out that breaker. That was really cool to see.
It is my #1 choice. It will carry your next outdoor strains. Come check out your next anytime bed.
Sorry about that, guys. Typing up a message from my wife was talking. All righty, see here. We got a couple of messages here. What would be your go-to bait with how the water is looking for them today? You going to power fish and bounce a jig off the bass's head, or you throwing a moving bait? I'm probably either going to go to the Chick or I'm going to stay in the Appomattox. Because if I stay in the Appomattox, I'm going to maximize my fishing day, and then I can kind of guts and nuts it. So that's step one. And then if I'm fishing hard cover, I'm probably going to have on a crankbait spoiler there. That's no shock. And then I don't know about the chatterbait with hard cover. Definitely I'm going to be throwing a chartreuse crankbait potentially with the water clarity the way it is. And then are we dealing with scope? If I'm allowed to have scope on there, the other baits I'm going to have on is a shaky head and a drop shot and a crankbait. Those are probably going to be my 3 baits there. Everyone likes to pitch and flip, but I feel like in tournament fishing like this, where the fish have been beaten so hard, just my style, I can go behind people with a shaky head and a drop shot and pick off a lot of fish. So again, that's just kind of my style, because on the Potomac, that's what will happen. You'll have a line of trees and stuff, and yeah, you can fish a jig and stuff like that, and 100% you'll be successful, 100%. But from my confidence standpoint, if I put on a shaky head or a drop shot, I just feel like not a lot of people start with that. And so it's going to give you a little bit higher percentage chance to do well. Buzzbait fishing, yeah. I mean, I don't have as much confidence personally with the buzzbait. It's a great pick. I just don't have a lot of confidence with that specific topwater bait. But yeah, dude, it can kill them, as you can see there. Chatterbait, I don't know. Like chatterbait, I feel like is very much a grassy thing versus again, I'm just getting into chatterbait fishing more and more and getting more confidence with it, honestly. And then the swim jig, the swim jig I have on there as well. I've nailed like 17 baits for you, Josh, aren't I? But yeah, crankbait, drop shot, shaky head would be kind of like my 3 that would be on the boat 100% of the time, and just start picking it apart. I do believe that there are baits that work better on a Saturday, and I speak Saturday in air quotes. Basically, what I mean by that is, when fish get pressured, they'll bite different things than when it's just easy fishing. So fishing on a Monday, flipping and pitching is going to be way easier than on a Saturday. Hope that helps.
Both those
Good
guys
question.
are up in the top 5 in the Angler of the Year race. Mitchell Robinson is in 2nd, and Dustin Smith is in 5th place.
I'm going to say if Mitchell makes it, he'll definitely go to the Bass Pro Tour where he can join.
Biggin.
Ooh, look at
Biggin. Oh my God. Come on, baby. Come over here. Oh my goodness,
Smith,
dude.
look at that.
That is a freaking dinosaur out here on the James River, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, man. Oh. Dude, I'm shaking.
That's great.
Dude, that fish is skinny. Post spawn.
Man, I love bass fishing. Golly. Yes. Oh, man.
Also, he's using
Does it get
fluorocarbon,
any
which is
better
interesting.
than
Sounding
just
by
being
the
in the
reel
back of
he
the
had,
creek,
he was using
sweating,
straight
it's 90 degrees
fluorocarbon.
outside, no wind, and you're just catching giants on a freaking flipping stick, 5-pounders, dude. Come on. Lock in. There we go. 15.5. That's a 5-pounder. Dude, things just got real spicy. How's that for a call?
Dude, that fish is skinny.
Oh my goodness. Ooh, man, that was sick. When I set the hook and she turned sideways, I'm like, please don't be a dogfish.
You mean a bowfin? Is that what you mean by dogfish? Probably means bowfin.
Pretty good pick on cameras today. The 5 guys that we chose to go with.
So as you guys, what I meant by skinny is these fish are a lot of them, if not all of them, are in post spawn, and it's like immediate. Like post spawn is like right now. So a lot of these fish are going to be kind of lanky like that.
And golly, it had some dang biggins in it in practice. And it was just so high risk to go there. But now we got 15.5 and it's early. Like, my mind starts wondering, like, I'm just not satisfied now with 15.5. I want 20. But I just did catch a 5-pounder. So leaving would seem pretty illogical. So that's maybe a deal that we save if we make
This
it to
is
the end of
such
the
a
tournament,
Ohio,
that we
Michigan
make
kind of style
a
that
dang
they're fishing
heck
right now.
of a long run. Man, things are going good this morning. I just didn't really see that kind of quality in this creek, so it really surprised me. But that's also a good reason why not to set the hook a lot in practice. I don't like how that knot went together.
Interesting.
This is one thing I think is really important for bass.
I can agree with that, but I think with the stained water, they're catching more fish than normal, picking a jig or creature bait. If chatterbait is a factor, either black, chartreuse, white, or solid white. But I don't know. I like the old school aspect of a bright spinner bait with so Colorado blade, this is actually a really good point. I wouldn't necessarily go with a Colorado blade. I need to do a video on this specifically, Josh. I mean, you could go with a big thumping Colorado blade. To me, I look at the big Colorado blades as kind of like a one knocker for a crankbait or a lipless bait. It's like how it appeals to the fish's lateral line. So if you're going to have that big old knocking Colorado blade, it's going to make that pump, that big pulsing thing, which is why Jason Christie talks about that a lot in early pre-spawn winter type fishing conditions where they really like that pulsating. Believe it or not, in this dirty water, just straight willow leaf works too. So don't always necessarily, because Bassmaster told us when we were kids, like dirty water, you must throw straight Colorado blades. It's about the vibration and the pulse that you're putting into the water. The other thing is the speed in which you can actually fish it. If you put on a massive dinner plate Colorado blade, good luck fishing that thing fast or getting it on the top edge of the water column. You're not. Your rod's going to be buckling. But if you put on a couple of willow leaf blades, you can keep that thing up in the water column. You can slow it down, speed it up. You have more variability with that. A big ass Colorado blade, that thing is pretty much for that low, slow grinding on the bottom type of bite. So just kind of keep that in mind. Plus, and then you can experiment with the color, the flash, whether you want gold or silver, depending on your watercolor and the light in the water. So many things that you can do there with that. But yeah, spinnerbait is a great option. Let's get back to the action.
He finished third here, Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, back in 2022 when he had a great year. Fished the Bass Pro Tour for a year as well, and good to have him.
Well, I'm glad to be back.
Good morning, Bruce. We're doing some live coverage from the James River.
To spend some time at home and work on growing the business back home and whatnot. And I don't know, I was looking around at the schedule and I was just tired. I was ready to fish another one. And I said, the James River owes me one. I lost the winning fish last time we were here. And I knew I would enjoy coming to fish this place. I haven't fished one tournament in the last 12 months, and I haven't been in my boat in over 12 months until day one of practice. But, oh, there he was, little guy. But I figure if there's any place we can come back with and not have to have that much skill set to catch them, it'd be here. So I'm rusty on casting. I'm on backlash a whole lot, but
interesting thought process.
Maybe we can catch. I need to catch 3 more. We got a big one, and we got a 3-pounder, and the rest are between 2.5 and 212. Just kind of biding our time before we can run down the.
Got a question over here on the old Instagram from Phil2K11, which is why do you think it's going to take 15 to 16 pounds a day? This is kind of how the river is fishing. Also, it's just the tide that they're dealing with. It's not the perfect tide that would help them out. Plus, the weather's been a little bit weird. It's been a lot colder than usual. If it would get hot and muggy for like a week or two, and then we had a better tide set up, I think the weights would have been even better, generically speaking. But again, this is the first day. Everything just started here. Keith just dropped 23 pounds, so we'll see what happens.
I've had a lot of bites. I've probably caught 15 fish, maybe a few more.
There we go.
Here we go.
Well, this just biding his time until the chicken.
What the? Get him in the net, dude. What the hell are you doing? Jesus. Come on, man.
Like I said, it's been a little while. I'm rusty. I'm rusty on the net. Look at that. Let's go. Come on.
Don't net him. Boat flip him. My God.
Let's go.
What the hell are you doing?
Right there. Come on. Thank you.
How much money's on the line? And you're just going to just go.
Look at this. Look at this trailer hook and inner fin. Look at this.
That fish is fat. That one.
This is a trailer hook. Not mine. It's not been there long. That's a Gamakatsu 3-aught because I got me one right here. Same thing.
Wow.
Ooh-wee, let's go. That's going to be a good call right there. Man, there ain't no feeling like catching a big one.
I'm wondering how a trailer hook comes off. I guess it wiggled off. That's just a
Got another good question here from Josh. True, you could even go with bright orange or another bright colored smaller willow blade or a smaller Colorado blade under whatever color willow it'd be on top. My spinnerbaits can be good. There's so many options you can tinker with. Yeah, and the other thing with like colors that we do really need to talk about here is like clarity is relative. Water clarity is relative. If you are on, so example is if you go to Floridian stained water that looks almost like tea. Dude, that's a hell of a bag he's got there. That's a really good bag. I wonder where he is fishing. Interesting. But anyway, to my point is, so if you're fishing like tea, which is like what I call kind of Florida water, it looks dirty to you, but that's actually clear for them. If you go to some tidal water fisheries that usually are off color, and this is where if you're going to a body of water for the first time ever, ask them, it's like, hey, is this watercolor normal? And if it is, your mindset can't always be like, this is muddy or this is dirty. It might be dirty relative to, let's say you live at, the St. Lawrence River where you got 200 feet of visibility. Yeah. So always keep that in mind because we always want to go with bright colors, and not always do you have to. If they're used to water being a certain color, those fish can see and understand it. So they don't always need super duper bright baits. Just a thought there. B-Cal, hit the cypress trees, jig or soft plastic for the win. No, I 100% agree, boss. And then again, chatterbait or crankbait. I feel like both are options, just like what you're more confident in, honestly. Do you want treble hooks or you just want that one jackhammer hook? For him, I know it's a 5-pounder. Let me know in the comments section. Do you flip that bitch or do you use the net and just like do that sad thing that he just did? Looks like Keith Poche caught that big one on a pop bar. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Let's listen back in.
Zoom. Z-Crawl Jr. I like the big one too, but the big one looks lazy on the back. It doesn't kick as well. And rip his two little pinchers off. Rig it up where it swims like a fish's tail.
Mm-hmm.
If the water was a little dirtier, I'd painted chartreuse on the back. He rubbed on the pole. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're good. I throw the cheap fluorocarbon. That's the Cigar Red Label, 17 pound. Oh, that don't even make this Daiwa rod anymore, but hey, this is the 7.4 Randy Howell Big Topwater Daiwa, let's see, tattoo.
You really wonder with this stuff why they fish so much fluorocarbon. I get it. Everyone has their own vibe on that stuff. So this year, guys, I reinvented my setup. I went with braid for a lot of my stuff. I think it's like 40 to 50 pound sunline braid. Only reason is I'm in a kayak, so I'm using a high speed reel, heavier line. I'm not effing around and finding out this year. And honestly, I don't feel like my fish catches have dropped off that much, but my landing ratio goes through the roof because when I stick them, they're in the damn boat. There's no issues. There's no dainty like, oh, my line's going to snap. And this is from fishing Nye, the Shenandoah, the Upper Potomac, a bunch of different places. So I always feel like there's this, I think we get too dainty with our line, especially boat anglers do. This idea that I need this Fukushima fluorocarbon that's made with spider silk and it's like 15.5 pound test, and because the vibration is off, possibly 100%. But if you go with straight 50 or 30 pound braid and you catch one, you just boat flip that bitch and get them in the boat real quick. Do you drop off a few bites? Possibly, but also the ones you do hook, you don't have to mess around with. Just a thought there. Just a thought.
Man, with with one other guy. I'm not gonna say his name, but so I got my number one cameraman with me. Rick likes to walk on the wild side in the boat, and that keeps things light, which is what I'm trying to do right now. It's funny, my nerves aren't really going that good, going that hard right now. I'm just settling in, trying to get in a good fishing rhythm.
He found a great dock, though, guys. He found a fantastic dock.
Casting. Man, I am bad rusty and having to skip. It's been tough on me this week, especially with a 7'4" rod, but that fish there, you gotta hammer him when he gets it, because the first thing he's gonna do is try to wrap you around that dock pole. So 18.12 with lots of room to move. I knew when I caught the 6, I caught it on a frog this morning. I knew when I caught it that I had to get to 20 pounds.
You don't want to know who's your favorite.
I'm bad with names. Rick, I could remember. I'm trying to remember. He's a small framed fella too. He's who I had last.
Got some questions right here we're going to answer here. We got Joshua says, I was using 17-pound test fluoro flipping the sparse pads, and it didn't feel like the right setup for those pads. Felt like I needed braid. This year has been a big epiphany to me that I think we get over freaky about the line stuff. I do believe if you're talking about smallmouth in gin clear water, because big 10 to 15-year-old smallmouth are like smart brown trout. Yeah, I understand going to super light line, making long casts and stuff like that. When you're talking Tidal, Potomac, James River, places like that, and you're fishing pads, you're fishing a chatterbait, you're fishing stuff like they're really gonna slam into it. A swim jig for me. I like the sensitivity I get with braid, and I really like that I can just boat flip them. Now, I think you could do this with fluorocarbon, 20+ pound fluorocarbon as well, but I just like the idea that when I hook one, I don't have to worry about it. B-Cal. Who? Are you talking about the guy that's on the screen now fishing it? I believe he is. Let me guys know, where do you think this guy's fishing right now?
That looks like a big one. That is a big one. Oh, yeah. Stay tuned.
Is it a big one with how much your reel's screaming? Tighten the drag up, bud.
Good one. Not too big.
That's not a bit. What the hell? Jeez, come on. You go all Ike and Ellie on us.
Felt better than that. What else, though?
I think he's fishing the James proper.
Gives us less than an ounce. We'll touch it.
Oh, dude, he iked the shit out of that, man. It's just big one, real screaming. Oh, it's big. Oh, never mind. I can boat flip it. It's like if you boat flip this thing on a spinning rod, it ain't a monster, dude. Yeah, current is James, yeah.
You know, you come to the James River, Rob, you think about all the different cover options and where you're going to fish and the tide and all. You don't necessarily think about, you know, a pocket with a drain, a little outflow, but he's got something going on here.
Yeah, there's plenty of that kind of stuff up through the, you know, up through Richmond and then up the top of the top of the James River, above Richmond is what I'm trying to get at. A lot of them, you know, industrial complex up there. Mm-hmm. Sending out cooling water. A lot of these kind of places. And a lot of these places have been replenished with a lot of fish from down, you know, down the river, coming from the Chickahominy and being transplanted up here.
It's a solid beginning here for Bank Shaw today. Right at about 15 pounds for his 5-fish limit. Keith Poche, unofficial leader, 23 pounds, 11 ounces. Mitch Crane has a shade over 18 pounds. We got a camera headed toward Cal Lane here shortly. He is unofficially sitting in third. Here's the way it's going to stack up at the end of the week. We will pay out to 32 places this week. And the total purse could hit $478,000. First place, $80,000. The potential of the $35,000 Phoenix Boats bonus that you can grab as well. We're going to hand out $2,000 Berkeley Big Bass cash as well in this event. 97 anglers on the water today for opening day, and there's the championship trophy somebody drives away with from the James River. 2022, that winner was Nick LeBrun. He's in the field this week as well. It's Top 5 presented by 7 Brew Coffee, James River.
All right, guys, I have been doing some Google. Again, Google Earth is your friend. I will always say that. Get Google Earth Pro. I'll be answering your questions here in a minute. Did he just say he's above Richmond? I'm going to show you guys real quick. So this is why. So come on. Why is it not share? Oh, I didn't share my screen. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I thought I was sharing my screen. Come on, laptop. All right, so this is why, you guys, this is a quick little lesson for you that it'll make you all educational when you're watching stuff. You want to get Google Earth Pro because in that image we saw, there were smokestacks. And so how I found it was looking for getting really tight in here on Google Earth Pro to where you get that nice 3D image. And then, all right, tilting up like this. And then I'm looking for smokestacks on the river. And I'm just going up the river, and then I saw these smokestacks right here on the 3D mapping. Let me actually take a picture. Boom. That's where he's fishing. Let's zoom in right here, and let's take a look-see at this discharge. There's the discharge right there. You can see it. And he's fishing at this angle because we had that thing in the backdrop. So that's where he's fishing right now. What creek is this? This creek is Proctor's Creek. We got Josh here. Yep, I fished there before. I think that's a factory just below Osborne. Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. That's the factory below Osborne. I'll show you right here. Boop, 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 boop. So there's the factory. I just butchered this map. Hold on, guys. They put north back on top. All right, so that's north upwards. So you got, here it is here. And then Richmond is up here. This is Richmond. Osborne is down here. And then here's the Appomattox River right through here. But that's a sneaky deal right through there. I cannot wait. So far I haven't been copyright struck, which is amazing, which means for next week for the Potomac River, it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's a neat little spot that he found. Interesting. I wonder if I can find, I'm going to work on trying to find out exactly where Boyd is. Let me type in. All right, so here's a creek. This is Cornelius Creek. And it kind of, based on the earlier images that we saw, this kind of looks like the creek. I could be wrong. There's so many sneaky creeks up here, though. Oh, we got the coverage back. Let me flip back to the other screen. Yes, Josh. Next week, they're going to be up on the upper Potomac, or the Potomac River, not the upper Potomac.
I broke off my last 2 fish, and it's like I've just been battling this breaking off issue, flipping. So I just hit him with the 65-pound braid. We're done messing around here. Let's just get this done.
It's about damn time, dude. Why the hell did it take you so long to go to braid?
Red. 16 and a half. 16 and a half, and it's...
Can you guys hear him okay?
Let
me know.
10 o'clock. We're dangerous today. We are dangerous. Just hit me with the braid, dude. We're done with fluorocarbon. I hate flipping braid in wood, but I hate losing fish even more.
No shit, Sherlock.
These rage
I
baits
hate
today.
braid
This
and
is
wood.
sick.
Well, you
We're
know
getting
what's
some good
worse?
bites.
It's that.
The quality is a lot higher than I expected, which is great.
I think he's having Appomattox.
The cool thing too is, like, I'm going to make an assumption that a large population of the field is down in the Chick, and I didn't even practice there. When I was listening to this place on podcasts and stuff, there was one that was like college tournament. There was 200 boats, and 176 of them went to the Chick. I heard on like a podcast or YouTube or something, and I'm like, as soon as I heard that, I'm never going to see that place. That's just not me. I don't fish that way. I like to be like this, in this creek, that there is nobody else. And you get away from population of fish, and it's a lot harder work to find places like this because most of them suck. But you find one, man, and you can get some unadulterated fish.
Interesting.
I think you'd take 16 and a half pounds on opening day if you're Dustin Smith, wouldn't you, Rob?
Absolutely. I mean, that guy is, you can tell he has been ignited. He is done with his fluorocarbon. He's got it going on. He's on his way to a really good limit.
You know, just kind of listening to anglers this year and, you know, hearing what they've had to say about the new rules changes on the Tackle Warehouse Invitationals and Bass Pro Tour. TWI, you get first day with forward-facing sonar, second day without it. If you make it to the third day, you get it back. Bass Pro Tour, it's every day. You get it.
So we got here. Good to see someone found
sonar.
the hidey hole.
And there are so many. I think.
Are you talking about Dave Smith?
Forward-facing sonar can do for
the guy
so
that's on the screen right now, Joshua.
From having a
Tom,
really
what do you
bad
think
day.
water clarity grass conditions will be like there, James, after a month? I think it's going to be a lot better, Ang. I really do. Again, if you guys aren't from the area, because I know I have a lot of people that are watching that aren't from here.
But it may be
we had a very cold winter, like the Susquehanna and Upper Potomac, and our places were frozen solid, like legitimately frozen brick solid, which is pretty crazy. So the grass is stagnated. So I think when that high drill has a chance to really get up, especially like the Chickahominy that has a shit ton of grass, I think it's going to clean that place out. But the James is generally dirtier than the Potomac is. The Potomac, the big thing there, bread and butter, is the grass. Without the grass on the Potomac, it's not the same. The James has always been hard cover. It's had a lot better hard cover targets than the Potomac in general, I think. And then yeah, boss, it hasn't stopped raining since April. It feels like it's just been insane how much rain we've gotten dumped in us. We had a couple of BFLs hang up on the Potomac that should have been canceled, honestly, because they were dangerous. There's so much crap in the water from the flooding we got. Joshua, good to see someone found the hidey hole, and he said, yeah, David Smith, yeah.
Dustin Smith about the way he fishes. He's gonna fish this way, and he's gonna be happy with it.
Do I have the audio on? I'll make sure it's on.
Whether he bombs, whether he ends up winning Angler of the Year, whether he wins the tournament or comes in second, this is what he does, and there's a peace of mind about that.
I can say
I
I
think there's something to
personally
be said
seen
about
the Susky
fishing.
completely frozen the week of the Great American
Fishing's meant
Outdoor
to
Show. It was
purify
wild.
your
Yeah,
soul,
dude,
Chad,
we
not
had
to
a cold ass winter.
confuse
Wow,
and
that's
cloud.
prophetic, Rob. Easy now. A little early in the day for that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's meant to like clear your head, not make you more confused than you already were. So I think, I really think that's kind of what Dustin Smith's after.
Guys,
He
please hit
fishes
that
to
like
clear
button
his
and
head.
subscribe. It really helps push this thing out in the algorithm. So far, I've not been hit on YouTube. We're still live on YouTube, which is awesome. So I'll be doing day one coverage tomorrow as well.
The hardest tournaments, any pro will tell you, the hardest tournaments to drive away from are the ones where you don't know what you did wrong and you never really understood how the tournament, and in a time before instantaneous information, 15, 20 years ago, you drove away from tournaments. You didn't do any good. Well, you didn't necessarily know how anybody else caught them either. So you were in this torture chamber driving home of not like what, these days, I think it's a little easier to deal with because on your drive home, you can at least watch or listen to the commentary of how the tournament unfolded and you can see where your mistakes are. Back in the day, you just stayed mad at yourself for the next 3-4 weeks till the next tournament came around, because you never got any. You could call your couple buddies on the phone to try and figure out what you missed, but now you know what you missed, and it's it says a lot about the live coverage, but it also says something about these days. Well, what did I miss? Well, you missed forward-facing sonar because you didn't do it. Okay, fair enough. I'm good with that.
And I think the other side of it is for these guys who just stick to what they know and what they do, they're more likely to win an event doing this than if they had forward-facing sonar.
Mm-hmm. In their way.
Could you guys just shut up about the forward-facing sonar? Jesus Christ. I am so sick of this
Greco
debate.
is up to.
It's like Democrats versus Republicans.
Unofficially, he's up to about 7th place. And
how about you just put
pounds.
tournaments where there's a good shallow water bite, like the James and the Potomac?
Fishing some backwater areas. The cypress trees didn't really seem to be super productive, so figured I'd try back in some of these back sloughs. Still throwing a buzzbait, mixing in a popping frog also. So the tide is starting to go out slowly, I think, here. We'll probably do this for next hour or two, depending how things go. And then general game plan is the last couple hours of the day, I'm going to go out to the main river and flip pads. So I think that's a really good way to get a good bite or two, but the tide just has to be right for it. I haven't been getting many bites when that tide is high in the pads, but once that tide starts getting lower, here comes one after my buzzbait.
So one reason you might not be getting bites in the pads right now is because when you get that flush of water, the fish will push way up into the pad field to make it a little bit harder.
Pull out to the edge
So the
of
fish
the
are still
pad,
there potentially in the pad field. They're just a lot harder to get to.
Hopefully the tide will get to that point to where it starts pulling them all out. Like I said, the tide isn't supposed to be low around here until 3:30 maybe, so we're never going to get to that point where the tide's all the way down there, but hopefully as the tide starts pushing down, some of those fish will at least start moving out to the edge. It seems like our high tide today didn't get as high. It has been getting some of the days of practice, so that's probably good.
I think I found where Dave was
for the
fishing.
water to start pushing out. Ideally, if I could get one good bite on top water and then one good bite flipping, we'd end up with a pretty good bag. So I already got a decent bag, I think about 15.5 pounds, and still got two that I would definitely like to get rid of.
But some of these with big platforms and whatnot, you got to spend a little more time on. But
Chaz Currington is not
5 minutes a dot.
Oh God!
You can just, they're either there or they're not. You ain't got to talk them. You don't have to talk these fish into biting. If they're there, they're wanting to bite. So.
Water temperature, I don't even know what it's warm.
Right, it's in the low 80s, like 83, 84. Boy, he's out in the middle of nowhere. Might be a good one. Let's go.
Oh, come on. That's a little
I'm
buck.
talking about out there like 10 feet out in front of the dock. I literally threw to get the corner. I might call this fishing practice. All right, look, there's my, if this fish weighs 3.5, if it weighs 3.5, I call this fishing practice. Okay, he's built the same. Because
Dude,
see how
settle down.
thick he is and he's short-tailed? If he weighs 3.5 or 3.4, same fish. It's got to be. Because he's got a hook hole there, and I just caught him right there. That's him. It looks just like him. I weighed him. There's only one I weighed like 2 or 3 coming out through here. Let's see. Drum roll. 3.2. Maybe it ain't him. 2.9. Oh, 19.12 must have been 18.12. I got 19.5 now. Oh, okay. Oh, we're getting there. Anyway, we're getting there. Nice thick build. Look how beautiful and healthy these fish are. Super thick down the back. This is that northern strain. As we get down close to the Chickahominy, you're going to start to see these fish lean out and be longer. Those are going to be those Florida strains. These are the northern strain I'm pitching up here. What I noticed is as I came down further, the fish got skinnier and they weighed less.
So that's an interesting thing. Let's talk about what he just said there.
See how this fish is skinny and that fish is, these two, there's not a great example, but they'll start to lean out like that. That poor fella there.
Okay, so bless your heart, but you're not that intelligent, dude. Okay. They're getting skinnier not because they're Florida strain, you dumb effer. It's because they spawned just 5 seconds ago and they're completely post-spawn. The farther north up the river you go, I mean, that's how this works. You're probably gonna get some pre-spawn fish, honestly, if you go closer to Richmond. Whereas if the farther south you go, water's warmer, they're gonna be post-spawn. So that. Number 2, okay, it's not that the northern strain is north on the river and the southern strain is southern on the river. Yes, the F1s were stocked in the Chick, but guess what? There's these things called live wells. These F'ers get moved back and forth. So it's not like just the Chick has F1s and the northern strains are near Osborne and Hopewell. They got moved around so much. And the last time F1s and Florida strain were stocked was 2016. We're on the 10-year anniversary of the last stocking of Florida strain, as he called it, bass. So in the last 10 years, they're not all relegated to the Chick. They're moved all over the damn place. I mean, good God. Yeah, and plus the different markings too. Absolutely. Plus the different markings. They do 100% look differently. But my God, yeah, the northern strains in the northern part of the river and the southern strains in the Chick. What the hell? And the southerners are like skinnier and longer. Well, they're longer because they're bigger. Pound for pound, Florida strain F1s are bigger. But 2, they just got done spawning. Come back here in a month once they had a chance to fatten up, and guess what? That Chick is going to be playing a lot harder because those fish had a chance to get. That is the dumbest effing thing I've ever heard of. My
15,
God.
15, 16 pounds with 6-pounder because you're not going to get that bite every day. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. You're not getting that bite every day. So when you do get it,
I bet he went to Yale.
that's the Lord's gift of.
Oh,
hey,
God, it's the Lord's
you go ahead
gift.
and mash on some stuff.
When I
Let's go
caught
ahead
my
and
first
get to
Florida
20.
bass, it was super dark, almost brownish, darker,
It's just a 3-day tournament.
more
They're not
prominent
zeroing the
markings.
weight.
Yeah,
Thank
it's a
goodness.
weird.
So I will not.
You can describe it.
I will not be backing off. He's little. He's black as night, though. I caught one like this on another dock. You tell me where that fish right there is live.
Yeah, he's not a rocket surgery,
This is
dude.
a Florida black clear water fish looks like. How dark he is.
Black clear
He must
water
live
fish.
Super shallow because this water's not that.
Use your words.
clear. I mean, it's not like you expect that to. Expect that color of fish for sure.
19.5-pound day on opening day at the James River.
Looks like he never left.
My God. All right, so that was interesting. Oh my God. Yeah, I understand, like, this is weird, like when you have a tournament like in your backyard and they spout nonsense like that, and then the general public, like if you're living in Missouri or Arkansas and listening, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. You know, the southern fish are in the south part of the river. They're the Florida strain and the chick, and everywhere else is northern fish. That makes sense. It's like, no, what the hell are you talking about? Plus, there's also this thing like fish do have adjustments in their color pattern. Like, deep water fish will have a different color than necessarily fish that are up shallow. If you're living in a lot of vegetation, I think Joshua just brought it up here, so I'll just let him take the credit for it. It was on Okeechobee and around thick vegetation too. So yeah, exactly. So absolutely. Who's this? Unintelligent, whoever that person was, dude. That just was talking. My God, that was some interesting facts he was throwing down. Anyway, so looking at, let me share my screen again. So I think Dave Smith was fishing in the around Appomattox is kind of where I'm thinking he was fishing. And one key giveaway was all of the blinds too. Again, this is just my thought when he said, and then Jared Bass says, yeah, he's way off on the dynamic of genetics of bass in the James. Yeah, dude, that was kind of funny to me. Like the northern strain is in the northern part of the river, the southern strain is in the southern part, and the chick. That was that's interesting logic there, Captain. And what is it? The F1s are skinnier, dude. It's because they're pre-spawn, or I'm sorry, they're post-spawn. They just got done spawning. They're not usually anorexic. You know why? Because it's the F1s that are getting to 8 to 10 pounds on the damn river. Generally speaking, there's probably some northerns in there that are juicing too. But so, yeah, it's just, which is a good thing strategy wise to think about. Let's just say hypothetically here, whatever his name is, he did figure out, let's just say that the fish southern on the river, in the southern portion of the river, just got done with post spawn. Let's just see this is logically correct. And they're skinnier. That's good to know that you probably should be moving to the other part of the river where the fish have either had a chance to feed back up from the spawning activity or find fish that are in pre-spawn. I don't think there's any chance in hell you're finding pre-spawn fish right now because it's June. I could be wrong, but I think it's just about the level of post-spawn. Just right after the spawning deal, you're going to get the bloody tails. They're really skinny. They're not weighing very much. And then later on in the spawning or the post-spawn activity, you're going to see them start to fatten up. So I don't know, that kind of makes sense to me. Let's see, what would he say if there was a spots? They're only in spots of the river. Yeah, I know. It's just, dude, come on. They're fishermen. It's like you don't ask for philosophical thought from your running back in an interview. So that's just something to keep in mind. Oh, well, off to do some work for tomorrow and family. Tom, will you be live streaming tomorrow? Brucey, I will be live streaming in the morning tomorrow because so far I haven't gotten knocked. It's been doing really well. I do like to react to the people saying really stupid things. So that's kind of fun for me. I think God always wanted me to be critical of human beings. And I get paid for doing this. Yeah, the river's off. Yep, I got that question. I missed another question, I thought. Dynamic of the river. Yep, cool. So anyway, I think he was fishing the Appomattox, which was Dave Smith earlier. The reason being was just some of the blinds that I was kind of seeing in the background shots. Something to keep in mind when you're using Google Earth Pro, because it goes 3D, which is super duper awesome. You can pipe in different creeks and that'll pop up. You can also Google different blinds if you want to. You can actually Google where are the duck blinds on the river. Sometimes that'll come up on certain type of river systems. But when you're scrolling through here, what I was looking for is things like this. So on Google Earth Pro, duck blind right there, or I don't know, bird blind is what you call them. I don't know. Anyway. Let me get myself reorganized here. So Hopewell, there's Appomattox. Okay, cool. So position this bitch north again. Perfect. So this is the Appomattox River coming right in through here like this. Where's Swan Creek? So here's Creek 1. He had high trees in the backdrop too. He had sun casting a shadow to his left. Sun rises in the east, sets in the west. Have your map north. So the sun is going to be over here, casting this way. So he's probably fishing this way, was what he was doing. So he's fishing down this way, or he's fishing at this bank right here. So right in here, it could be right in here, potentially. I do think it's in the Appomattox Creek area is where Dave Smith was fishing. Could be wrong, but that's just my thought. And then you can just bounce around with bird blinds. Fun fact, if you're trying to do this at home, you're not going to have a lot of duck blinds in a super skinny ass creek. you're going to have it where you have an open range to shoot and you're not going to kill somebody. So if you see a duck blind in a shot, understand that there might be open water behind him. It's not like a Keith Poche where he's in the back of some kind of slough. You're probably fishing more of an open area, or there's open area behind you. So if somebody's hunting, that you can actually take a shot. You're not going to put it in a creek that's 2 feet across, if that makes sense. So just some thought there. All right, guys, we got the action back here. Guys, I'm going to be live streaming for another 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're going to be calling it for today. This was a good little test run, and then I will actually live stream tomorrow morning earlier and go for about 2 hours in the morning as well tomorrow. So let's get back to the action here. I'm actually proud of my little computer too, because it is screaming. I'm gonna be changing my computer out this weekend too. I got a newer one that's been on the to-do list for 7 months. But I'm always just terrified to make that adjustment. But here we are. We are back live again with the action. All right, we got 3 likes. If we could get, can we please hit that like button?
Burned much gas at all this morning.
Please hit that like button, guys. We have 3 people liking it so far. Could we get that thing up to 10 likes?
He had said last night he was contemplating on the no scope day, day 2, going down to the Chickahominy, but I'm betting he doesn't do that tomorrow. He's got a lot of stuff to fish pretty close here. It's working out good. No sense in getting risky and running an hour one way and an hour back.
That's the problem's not that they have lockjaw. The problem is you don't get your bait in front of him.
Oh God, here's our brain surgeon.
So you just fish where you can get your bait in front of him, and that's a dock. Because he's either on the outer poles or he's on the walkway poles, and he's, at all times during the day. This is his domain. He has plenty of bait. He doesn't have to do anything but sit here and eat.
Back to Mitch Crane.
We're gonna keep running this pattern. I got about 4 or 5 more docks.
Mitch Crane.
And then we're going to Chickahominy to go fish for some more 4-pounders. But we can catch for another 4-pounder on the dock, though. So we're going to blast off and hit another one real quick. Actually, we're just going to idle on the motor. We ain't going nowhere. We're just going to idle.
I'm going to call him Professor.
So I can run my live wells hard.
Call him Professor Mitch.
There's a look at
all right, guys.
Mitch Crane making a move.
We got a question here on Instagram for IMG12SU, Salisbury University. No, what's behind me is Shenandoah University. Back in 2014, 15, and 16, I formed a college fishing club there at Shenandoah University. Made the national championship 2 years in a row. That's back when FLW was a thing.
I expected a good day of fish numbers, but I didn't know what the size would look like. And I've had 2 really good bites. The other 3 are just average size fish. And I do want to have a special shout out to my daughter, Bella. She wasn't feeling real good last night. I sure hope that she's feeling better, and that I love her and Bowen and Ash, and I'll see them in a few hours. But really, any of these docks without a lot of shade, I've been avoiding. If it's in the current, you can fish a dock pole in general with no shade around it, because he'll use that pole as a current break. But they're really looking for places they can get in the shade, and certain docks provide that better than others. So those are the ones we've kind of been keying on. Longer the better. It's weird. The longer the walkway, that just gives them, that's just more bass they can hold. Sometimes you look at a long dock and you're like, well, if there's only 3 bass on there, it spreads them out.
Mitch Crane's been out of the fishing business for a couple years. This is his first tournament back, and he's
dang, I would call him Doctor Strange. Like that, I'd call him Doctor Strange. I love that. 5, if I could give something away, I would give something away right now. That's the comment. Oh my God. That's a good comment there. All right, guys. So far, it's been an absolute crazy day. We had some fantastic advice from a fisherman. Keith Poche is still, so far, unofficially still leading it with 23-11, absolute mega bag. Mitch Crane 1905. Miles Smith is has 1801. We have Dustin Smith, who we were following earlier. He has 1609 unofficially. So that dude, like the weights are doing pretty good so far, especially with the tides being off the way they are. Do you guys think a local is going to do well at all in this event? Let me know in the comment section down below. Again, guys, the biggest thing with all this is, you got to learn how to use Google Earth Pro. Whether you're going to be watching on TV or you just want to try to find new spots, it really does help, especially with how good it is with when it comes to being able to go 3D and see contours and depth from the land and buildings and things like that. Also with Google Earth Pro, you can go back in time. And so what's super duper awesome about that for tidal fisheries is you can also catch areas on a super low tide or a super high tide, and you can see how that place looks. So if you're looking for underwater hard spots, logs and shit like that, you can go back in time to where maybe you had a super low blowout tide. That stump, that rock will still be there, and you can kind of mark and just get some ideas of what you want to be fishing and the way that place kind of sets up before you go there, and get a good mental idea of the way that place will be fishing. So really good stuff there as well. Again, guys, we got about 10 more minutes. I'm going to do one more go around before I'm going to be calling it for today, because I got some things to do here. I'm going to go live tomorrow morning again for day 2 as well, and we'll be bringing you some react coverage of how this event shapes up. And then next week, the BBT will be on one of my home bodies of water, or the home body of water, the Potomac River. Man, the tidal fisheries this year are just getting so much love. It is it's fantastic. You had Albemarle Sound with the Bassmaster Elites. You have the James River, and you have the Potomac River here with Major League Fishing. I'm telling you that it's funny, because you go with the Sabine, which is an absolute dog shit place, and then you go with real tidal heavy hitters. The Potomac, the James, Albemarle Sound. Yeah, it's just, I absolutely love it. And this is, again, gets back to the live scope debate that they were talking about earlier, because they're idiots. Like, if you put fisheries on the map that have a shallow water bite, it will balance it out. Is it going to make it to where live scope is not competitive at all? Absolutely not. Live scope will always be competitive. People will always figure out how to catch them. However, if you go on freaking Lake Anna, Lake Anna in the middle of July, of course, it's going to be leaned heavily to scope, because most of those fish are pelagic and they're schooling. If you go to the James River in the summertime, or the Potomac, there is a grass bite, there is a flipping bite. You give those people a chance to be successful. So I think they just need to do a much better job of setting up the schedule to give, and maybe we should actually do a better job of helping our lakes out. Put lily pads in Smith Mountain Lake. Why hasn't that happened? I don't know why. I just use that as an example, but yeah, I get better about that for some reason. All right, guys, back to it.
Definitely helpful, because so far the biting here has not been all that good. Not sure if it's just the high tide or the pressure, mixture of the two. So, like I keep saying, hopefully that lower tide will kind of produce a little bit better for us here. A lot of boats down here, so definitely getting pressured. I don't know if everybody else is kind of struggling up here too, or if it's just me right now. But luckily we're 1 to 2 bites away from having a pretty good bag, so a couple more hours to go before we're gonna have to make the run in. Plenty of time to make that happen.
That's awesome, Google Pro.
Usually in the Chickahominy you can get a bunch of
Joshua,
bites, but
what Google Pro, and I'll be on Champlain next week.
The case during practice.
That's awesome, Google Pro. I'm so confused.
Today.
Or I'm just dumb. Probably I'm just dumb.
There's just about anything you could imagine you want to fish in the James River. Pads, lay down, cypress trees, docks, underwater grass, all that spatter dock, milfoil, hydrilla. It is just full of cover. And it lends itself pretty well to fishing fun baits, buzz baits, spinner baits, vibrating jigs, frogs.
Dude, where he's fishing though, man, that is fishy as hell. Oh, you good, boss? You good? I'll be on, and you'll be on Champlain next week. That is
just
perfect. That's
on
heaven.
The tide to turn down there in the Chick. I'm trying to look at some of that floating vegetation, see if that water's moving at all. I don't think it's quite started yet.
Oh, that's a good thing I can show off again to the screen, guys.
Something
Here
about tidal water. You take at the top of the tide, as soon as it turns and starts going out, it's one of those windows that opens up pretty good.
Same thing.
just to kind of show you guys what he's talking about here. So again, I took a screenshot of this earlier today, guys. Tidal charts are your friend Hopewell. Absolute low is going to be, you know what? Let me update this real quick just because. Hold on. I want to make sure that I got this correct. There we go. Okay, yeah, cool. Just want to make sure that my math was correct on this. So Chickahominy River Bridge is the mouth of the old Chick. So you can see absolute low tide is probably going to be, based on this chart, probably at like 345. And that's at the mouth of the Chickahominy. As you go up into the Chickahominy here, as you can tell, there's a little bit of variation, but not too much. So really from about, I'm going to say noonish on, the tide's going to start pulling out of the Chick. What's interesting when you look at the Chick is that there's a ton of vegetation, just floating vegetation right there. The Chick, just generally speaking, has better vegetation, which is very interesting to me. Absolute high tide today was around 10 o'clock on the dot. So people that stayed close, people that moved or whatever, they got a lot of rising water, the tide going up. Then you're going to have dead tide period for people that don't fish tide, and then the water's going to be slowly pulling out. Now, when you're dealing with these charts, and let me get the screen back up here. Just to kind of get that here. Perfect.
But we're going to stay in this one for a little bit longer. And then we're going to just start running some other creeks that I have where I've gotten some bites and stuff. So it's been a really good morning so far. I did not expect to catch a 5-pounder. So that was really, really cool. It's like now you get one and it's like you get greedy. Like,
okay, so you see where the shade is, guys, on him?
Fishing for right now.
Remember, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, so he's fishing west.
4-pound plus fish.
But the water's not moving.
We got plenty of water to fish still as far as areas. Oh, wow, this thing is all twisted up. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the day shakes out. There might be a lot of guys that have like 18 pounds or something right now, and maybe what I have is just not a very good bag, but you know, you just don't know that. But historically speaking, what I have right now, and it's 11 o'clock, is like I feel that's a good bag. Especially like right now, there's like no current movement in here at all. I mean, it is just totally stagnant. So let's get back to flipping here in this corner.
That's a pretty elaborate duck blind.
Yep, and I am looking for it right now on Google Earth Pro.
It's like a duck mansion. Somebody put some work in that one.
Yeah, this place is just loaded with duck blinds, and I just haven't had one bite out of a duck blind.
That is weird.
In practice or the tournament. And it's like, I don't know how there couldn't be fish in this kind of stuff.
There might be somebody sleeping in that thing. There's probably been a couple dozen ducks shot out of that. Been a pretty good day of fishing so far at the old James River. There's a look at your leaderboard. Keith Poche, after an early morning beatdown, 23 pounds.
Yeah, Jared, I found him.
He's going to be hard to top today. Mitch Crane closing in on the 20-pound mark. Miles Smith, we haven't gotten a look at him today. He's having a really good day. Cal Lane, we've seen a little.
All right, so here we are here. I think that is the duck blind. Because remember, so this creek, if we go north like that, we hit some shade. That's a massive duck blind. See, if I built a duck blind like that, it wouldn't be all the way back up in this freaking slough like this. I feel like it'd be more to the mouth of the creek, honestly. I think it's, I really think it's this duck blind right here. That's the biggest duck blind it looks like on this creek. But again, Appomattox, so I was right about that. Let's see. Oh, there's another Appomattox. It's not this one. By the way, look at the water clarity here on Google Earth going from the Chickahominy Creek. So this is Chickahominy. And I'm going to scroll back down to the James proper. Look at the watercolor difference. That's just fascinating to me that it's just that much different when you go up the Chick and then you go down to Hopewell where it's just muddy. Something else for you guys that don't know, with the Appomattox River, Lake Chesdon is up here. So there's actually a massive lake and a dam. The one thing I do not know about this lake, I do not think it's hydroelectric at all. So I don't think they can control the water as much as like they can on like Bugs Island and Gaston, where they can like raise and lower the water level. So I feel like when they don't open the floodgates necessarily to do that. But one deduction here, how to figure this out, like, okay, why this creek? If let's say there's 5 creeks named the same thing. One thing is he just said he didn't want to run down to the Chick because everyone went there. So that kind of shoots that to be this, because he's really close to Osborne when he does this. He's going to maximize his fishing day. But there's also big old creek right there. Again, north is, and then the sun's going to be directly overhead. That's north. Boom. Yeah, I think that's actually the bow time. That's secret. Yeah, and dude, this is why it's like people get like, oh, like you found spots. It's like if you're fishing and there's a screenshot and somebody can triangulate your position like you're working for the goddamn CIA, I'm gonna tip my cat to you. If you can basically look at a tree and be like, that tree is only native to this part of the river and this bark is this, yeah, you deserve the spot if you put in 17 hours of Google Map to find that area, because that's a lot of work. But yeah, that's pretty interesting stuff. And he was in Bailey Creek earlier, by the way. Yeah, but we don't have to give away necessarily the specific creek, but he was in the Appomattox shed, I think. I guess would you call those creeks part of the Appomattox watershed? I guess they all dump into Appomattox, which is interesting to me that Appomattox play. We talked about that. If you guys don't know, on Monday I actually did the biology fishing report. I had Dr. Whitmore on to talk about the shocking surveys for the Appomattox, for the James River, the Chickahominy, the York River. So go listen to that episode. It dropped on Monday. Insanely good fishing knowledge about everything that's happened on the James itself. So anyway, it looks like we are back from commercial break. Next commercial break, guys, will be the end of the live stream for today, just to kind of let you know. Let's get on back to the action. Share the screen.
Drone shot there, taking a look at Miles Smith having a really good day. Right around the 18-pound mark unofficially. Look at that watercolor. That looks like he's hung around the Richmond area as well. That has become the popular spot today. A lot of people not burning much gas. Yep. He's in a little creek not too far from Richmond, just downstream.
This is fun. This could be a mini series of itself. I just do detective work on where everyone's fishing with Google Earth. You wonder why so many people are staying close.
Houma, Louisiana.
Is it just because people are trying to maximize their fishing day?
Fishing that way.
Or is it because people tried to outthink the room with everyone going to the Chick? I think they said earlier like 30 to 40 people went down towards Chick, which is interesting to me. Again, guys, if you could hit that that thumbs up button, really like it, this would be appreciative. I'm going to go live tomorrow morning when coverage starts. I believe it starts at 7 o'clock, so I'm going to try to log on about 7:30.
Yeah, watercolor difference back over to Christian Greco.
Christian is 100% in the Chickahominy watershed. I'm gonna use the term watershed. So like we talked about a couple of the creeks
in these backwaters, which is kind of surprising. I've been throwing this frog and buzzbait around all kinds of good-looking trees and shade lines and everything else.
So
we're I'll probably leave this little slough here in a minute. Nothing starts biting. Hopefully that flipping bite kind of turns on this afternoon, because this topwater bite has not been what I was hoping for. Really don't know why. We did have a big rainstorm last night.
It's been raining for like 6 months straight here.
Part of the reason they seem to not like those big rainstorms the day before, especially these shallow water fish. That could be the culprit.
Guys, also for all the new people that are listening, if you want to help support, I basically do this full time right now, and if it wasn't for my Patreon supporters, I wouldn't be able to do this. So please, link in the episode description. Go check us out on Patreon. I got 2 spots left before I shut down the club that I have right now. It's at $6 a month. I'm closing that down, and then I'll be raising prices. So if you want to get locked in to a really good rate, got a ton of great perks. You get 5% off from one of the tackle stores that sponsors me, which is Jake's Bait and Tackle. Tiger Crankbait, you get 10% off. You get 10% off Catoctin Crete rods. Also, I do 5 tournaments a year that I put on. They're catch, measure, release, catch, photo, release tournaments. And I pay over $2,000 to $3,000 guaranteed, whether it's one person that signs up or if it's 1,000 people that sign up. I will baseline guarantee $2,000 to $3,000. I can backstop that tournament. So really good stuff, and literally keeps me paying my mortgage. So please go check that out.
Got a few more people that have moved up into the Chickahominy based on the tide. Started this morning with about 30 or 33 down there, and now we're up to about 50 or 55 that have worked their way down into the Chickahominy. I'm sure that mud coming down the river's got some people spooked, and that watercolor in the Chick looks a lot better.
Yeah, we saw that on Google Earth too.
That water to turn. So many of these guys will have to start heading back, you know, at the 1 o'clock, the 1 p.m. to 1:30 time period. And that water needs to start moving the other way to get that bite fired off. A lot of the guys we've looked at that are at the top of the leaderboard are definitely fishing up, you know, more around the Richmond area.
Well, thank you for pointing out the obvious there, boss.
Checking out Cow Lane.
That is such an easy thing to find on Google Earth.
Oh, he's fishing right there.
Stay pinned, baby. Please stay on.
Almost like that was a spawning fish.
Oh God, look at this. What do we have going on here?
I don't know if my net will even reach over there.
Oh, this will be fun.
You gonna boat flip it?
Oh, you got him.
He had no choice but to boat flip, honestly.
I don't know if that's gonna help or not. Oh yeah. Calling a 2-9.
It's gotta be a little bit of help. Let's see what we got going on here with that last fish catch from Cal. On Phoenix replay there. I don't know. I think there might be a little outflow or inflow right there that he was targeting on his spinning rod, because he was shaking it like right there, almost like there's a fish on bed, but water's gotten a little warm for that. He's trying to figure out how to get that fish over
I mean,
the
they could be on
over the boardwalk. There you go. Forget the net. We don't need it. Should push Cal up into the 18-pound category.
Water's so muddy. It's hard to tell how many fish are in your live well, so.
Well, that ain't good, boss.
I've been trying not to mess that up, because you really can't see anything.
Dude, slow down, take your time. Count your damn fish.
Grown right there.
That's a good one. That's a Florida strain. That looked like a Florida strain with the patterns.
There's the kicker.
The mouth is also much different on a Florida strain or an F1.
If I'm not mistaken. That one's bigger. That one's bigger.
I know it's called call tags, boss, but the problem is with these guys, they also think northern strain are in the north part of the river, the southern strain's on the southern part of the river. So, you know, they're not all science surgeons, science
They
rockets.
both weigh the same on my scale, so break out the old cold bean.
On Insta, what is this Instagram comment from Jones? You don't need to count to be a pro fisherman. Drake says they don't need to read to be a pro fisherman. Easy, guys. Be nice. Be nice.
Like, that one's gonna be a little bit.
Oh, not you, Thomas. Him. No, I know me. I know what you're throwing. I know what you're throwing down. It's like I can't see him in there in the live. You're right. Just throw a call tag.
We'll double check just to make sure.
This is something else in multi-day tournaments. When are you going to start playing defense? Like, when are you, like,
so much room to fish in this
like a
river,
Keith
I see
Poche, or honestly, I would even say like a Mitch
looking at
Crane,
people
our
fishing
professor.
creeks all up and down.
You get to 19, 20, 25 pounds. Do you keep putting the hammer on them, or do you just protect an area and start exploring multi-day? I do think in tournaments there is a time and place that you should start just expanding and practicing, you know? So I don't know. Dude, listen, math is hard. You got to take 5 fish and learn them.
It makes it so hard when you can't see in here.
Dude, this is not, you're not performing a lobotomy.
I don't even know.
Everyone stay in school. Make sure your kids go to high school, get some education, college.
You ever get your jersey mixed up with your dad's when you're doing laundry?
No, I don't live at the house anymore. I would.
Oh, okay.
Cameraman, sick burn, love him. Oh, Jesus, that was a good line.
I got two teams in here.
Emo version. Oh, that's great. You ever get your laundry mixed up with your dad? Oh, that was funny.
There's 3 right there. So there should be 2 in here. 1 and 2. That one's bigger.
When he gets done with this call,
I believe 99% sure.
This should push Cal up into the top 5.
How long will he spend calling fish, guys?
It's a disaster of a calling experience here.
Well, I said it best on the Bash You podcast. You can't fix stupid. That is, yeah, 100%.
All right.
Now he's got to be over 18 pounds now. Ooh, we're gonna fly right over Richmond, Virginia, right there. James River.
Can you believe being the cameraman watching this guy being like, oh, this is a hard test. I can't see in the water in my little live well aquarium. And he's like, oh my God. I went to college for this. All right, guys, I have so as you guys know, I got a puppy to deal with. If you guys follow me on Instagram, YouTube, my wife's puppy jumped out of a vehicle moving 25 miles an hour. So she just got out of surgery, but so she's upstairs. So I need to go take care of her because my wife just left for work. So I'm gonna have to go take care of the puppy. So I'm gonna have to end there today. But there's one interesting tidbit I want to kind of leave you guys with there, which is you don't have to fish 8 hours. Mind blowing. Aaron Martin said it best. It is better for you to take your time, be thorough, organize everything, and fish for 6 hours in a day. And maybe versus you're trying to panic and fish as fast as you can every single minute of 8 hours and make mistakes. You forget to call. You don't try to change baits. You don't reline that rod. You don't do any of that stuff. Like, that is super duper duper important to just take a deep breath and make sure you have time to get everything done that you need to get done. Oh, I need to call fish. Do that earlier in the day. Write it down. Put the call tag in. Take your time. Okay, but I'll lose 20 minutes of fishing. It's worth it. I'm exhausted and my head's dizzy. Drink some water. No, I can't do that. I gotta sit up here and fish for 8 hours straight. Okay, but if you want to be considered a fishing athlete, if that's a thing, athletes also take care of themselves. They have breaks in the day of competition to make sure they're finely tuned. Drink some water, eat some food, power pull down, readjust the rod. Taking to 20 to 30 minutes to make sure everything is right will maximize your day. Because in a perfect world, it shouldn't take you 8 hours to have a successful day. And you look at Aaron Martin's where he would basically drop in the bottom of the boat, reline or redo everything, and then go back out and fish, and he dominates. So when you see these guys that are just so frantic and crazy, it won't hurt you to take little breaks through the day to readjust your equipment, readjust your mindset, your body, and make sure if you have fish, everything's going according to plan. Because if you do those things throughout the day, 10, 15 minutes here and there, you'll have a more successful day and you'll be more organized. But to me, it's like with what he was just doing there with the fish calling, you should be doing that throughout the day. Granted, I get it. If you catch a 6-pounder, just throw it in the live well, who cares? But just to make sure you don't have that. I will give him credit, though, that he just sat down just to kind of do that right now. I think it was Dustin Smith. Okay. Like he eventually went to his braid. Well, you should have just sat down in the boat and just made the adjustment right then. It would have been really easy. We got Dave Smith. Are you going to be at Jake's tomorrow? I will probably be making a quick little debut at Jake's. Dave Smith. The problem is, again, I just said this earlier. My wife's puppy jumped out of a vehicle going 25 miles an hour. Almost died, has a massive compound fracture, had to get her leg. She was in the ICU all last week, basically. We got her home yesterday, I believe it was. So we always have to have somebody with her right now because she's kind of touch and go. So I will be making a debut. I will be at Jake's Bait and Tackle. I don't think I can stay way too long. And then in the morning here, I'll be live 7 a.m. whenever live coverage starts. I will be live here as well to react to some of this really good fishing that we've had. It's fishing really well. I'm very impressed with the river, with how things are going down. And again, because the weigh-in's at 2, 3, 4 o'clock, that's when the low tide bite's really heating up. So it's really going to be cutting it close for the people that go south into this river system. So again, that's why I always talk about when you have these tidal water tournaments, it's not just about the time of year of like, oh, we should go in April or May. It's trying to line it up, and you can't always do that. Line it up with a good tide to where you can fish that low tide, or you can have that kind of bite throughout the day, and generally speaking. But again, I think the weights are doing a lot better than I thought they would, and from the people that I have talked to on the show. If you want to, guys, on Monday, I had Dr. Whitmore come on and talk about the biology fishing report for the Appomattox, the James, the Chickahominy River. Also, I had on Blake yesterday, who came on and talked about his predictions. I had Jared Williams on Monday Night Live talking about all that stuff. A lot of good James River content. And then next week, the Potomac River, guys. They're going to be on the Potomac River up there. But I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. for more live coverage from the Tackle Warehouse Invitational on the James River. See ya.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait